Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Graham. My clients call me the conversion doctor. I specialize in helping online businesses improve the persuasive power of their websites and to get their visitors to take specific actions. In the case of most of my e-commerce clients, that action is making a sale. However, today, in the case of the websites we're going to be looking at, that action is either getting voters to actually vote for the candidate or donating money to their campaign or getting involved at grassroots level in the campaigns. Now, over the past 6 years, I've conducted evaluations of well over 1,000 different websites, including many in the political arena. So hopefully I can provide a unique and knowledgeable perspective on this subject. Now, because I'm a small business owner myself, and while I do have several large e-commerce giants as clients, the majority of my clients are hardworking online entrepreneurs and small business owners. So during our evaluations today of the candidates' websites, Jim and I will be focusing specifically on how the candidates address issues related to small businesses. We'll also be addressing, I'm an Air Force veteran myself, so I'm passionate about that subject. We'll be addressing how they address veterans issues and also seniors issues on their websites themselves. And as you know, over 98% of the companies in the U.S. are small businesses, businesses having 100 or fewer employees, and over half of all workers in the United States are employed by small businesses. So a key question we have for all of the candidates that hopefully will be addressed on their websites is what specifically they'll be doing to help small businesses succeed that's different from the past few presidents, and also have similar questions related to the veterans and seniors issues as well. Now, my partner and co-host for this webinar event is a gentleman by the name of Jim Peake. Jim is a fellow small business owner and online entrepreneur from mysuccessgateway.com. Welcome, Jim. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, I'm based up in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm 48 years old, and I've been involved in the web for the last probably about 15 years, I guess since 1994. And I was involved with one of the premier websites, Kasparov versus Deep Blue, that basically put the chess match challenge on the front page of every newspaper back in 1996. And I've also sold many websites to very large corporations, including Prudential, AOL, Oppenheimer, IBM, etc. So I've got a good, strong background in what works and what doesn't work. And obviously, Eric, through our experience together, like your passion is, you're a small business owner yourself, and there's a lot of things going on in small businesses. The fact that there are 25 million of us out here, I really, wanted to see how the candidates are addressing some of the small business issues. The biggest one that concerns us more than anything else is the fact that a lot of small business contracts are being diverted to Fortune 500 companies. Now, let's be honest. I mean, some contracts small businesses can't handle. So, but in other cases, the federally mandated levels are at 23% of all goods and services to be bought by be sold by small businesses. So, and right now the government is not keeping up to that number, according to several different groups.
Excellent, Jim. Well, thank you very much for that. And let's dive right into the candidates' websites and get started. Now, the first candidate site we're going to be looking at is Rudy Giuliani. And here is Rudy's homepage there. And specifically what we're going to want to be looking at is his stances on the actual issues. Now, do you have any observations, Jim, on the homepage itself before we go into Rudy's issues page?
Yeah, I see he's got a photo album here. I can buy some Rudy gear, Rudy's story on the issues. Eric, one of the things that I'm looking for, and I don't want to belabor the point, is what I'm looking for are solutions. I think that we all know what the issues are and what the problems are. So I guess the first place that I would probably want to go to look at some of the three issues that we talked about, small business, veterans, and seniors, would probably be on the issues.
All right. Let's go and see what Rudy has to say on the issues themselves. Okay, talks a little bit about fiscal discipline, cutting taxes, winning the war on terror, Iraq, public safety, judges, education, abortion, Second Amendment, and marriage. So none of the three big issues that we're looking for today are addressed, straightforward here. Obviously fiscal discipline and cutting taxes a little bit do pertain to small business. Winning the war on terror in Iraq is obviously related to veterans issues. Really don't see anything related to seniors issues there at all. What's your take on this, Jim?
Well, based on those bullet points, I tend to agree with you, Eric. I don't see much there. Why don't you do me a favor and back out of that page and go into the news section, and then let's see what he's got for news. And by the way, Rudy obviously has done a great job, especially after 9/11. So I've got to commend him on his leadership there, and he's definitely done some very good work in New York.
Absolutely. Well, on his press releases, talks about some of his speaking engagements.
Oh, why don't you go down to uh, vows to cut a fifth of civilian federal workers? Eric, one of the problems in the Small Business Administration is it was a billion-dollar agency. And by the way, it's appointed, the head of that agency, the Small Business Administration, is appointed by the President of the United States. And
Absolutely.
back during the Reagan administration, that was a billion-dollar agency. Today, it is like a $500 or $600 million agency. So it's been basically cut in half and hasn't grown in the last 30 years.
Yep. All
So
right.
while all these candidates talk about cutting, who's talking about growing and growing the economy through small business and entrepreneurship?
Exactly. And that really is how the engine of the economy is driven and grows, is through the small businesses. So, talking about cutting pork barrels and, reducing the size of the civilian government by a fifth. Now, one issue, do you have any comments on this particular article he's got there?
Um, well, I think that he talks about cutting 20%, okay, and that's of employees that of federal civilian government employees, and wants to outright cut in non-defense spending. So I don't know exactly what that means. I think that I'm taking it a little bit out of context, um, but that's a pretty strong statement. So just slashing and burning right away, I think that he ought to explain that a little bit more.
Now, there was another one, the death tax should get the death penalty. Now, this does definitely apply to small businesses. A lot of small business owners, and particularly families of small business owners, get hit pretty hard if they've grown their business to any size, which, just literally over $1.5 million, which is, it's not too hard to build or grow a business to that size, maybe not in, annual volume, but the value on paper that you're going to get taxed on. So this is definitely one that would
It would
impact
fall
small
under
businesses.
the small business category in our
Exactly.
world. Okay.
But really, other than that, getting more troops for the Army, it's a defense-related issue that has some spin-offs for veterans. And he does down at the bottom have some videos of some of his speaking engagements and addresses. But like we said, on the actual issues page themselves, and even in the news, not doing a great job of addressing some of those key issues that we just discussed. So
Okay, so let's go and find another candidate. Maybe one of the other candidates has.
you bet. Let's take a look at what Hillary has to say about that.
Okay.
Obviously front and center there, deauthorize the war. That's a pretty strong stance there, and probably from a fundraising standpoint works good for her core. Um, let's see here. Nothing really on the front page addressing those key issues. Let's take a look at her issues page. Now she has a little drop-down menu here so you can see the issues at a glance. Strengthening the middle class, affordable health care, energy independence, fulfilling promises to veterans. So she does have at least something on veterans there. We'll take a look at that in a second. Supporting parents and caring for children, um, restoring America's standing in the world, champion for women, government reform, strengthening democracy, and of course her big one, ending the war in Iraq. Um, I'm not sure what she says in strengthening the middle class as far as small business issues, because that's, really in the end, the way you strengthen the middle class is by strengthening small businesses. Let's take a look here. Did you have any comments on the actual issues she addresses in that drop down there, Jim?
Um, no, I guess I have comments on all of the candidates. I think what would be really helpful, Eric, and you tell me. I mean, I think it would be very helpful if there were one place, one framework listing all the issues, because what we're seeing are different issues with different candidates. So there is a website out there that has called ontheissues.org, and they've got everything from abortion to budget and economy to civil rights to corporations, crime, drugs, education, energy, oil, etc. By the way, they don't have small business. So really, what would be really nice is to have a framework where everybody's on the same page. So that way I can find out what she's talked about as far as global warming is concerned,
Well,
and what Barack Obama's talked about as global warming.
exactly, and as a voter and as a business owner myself, I mean that is very valuable information to me. My concern with that central repository is the nature of the information that's going in there. Is it official statements from the candidates or analysts' opinions about the candidates' stand on those issues? That would be a critical thing. That's why I really would like to see the candidates address it themselves on their websites. That which a lot of them just don't seem to be doing. They have one or two pet issues that which, probably from a fundraising standpoint might appeal good to their core demographic. But what I'm seeing here, and hopefully some of these other candidates' websites will address it a little bit better, is really not taking a strong stand on any of the particular issues. They just not establishing a clear platform.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably because it's a little bit early, and at least that's what I've been hearing, and that's what
Well,
I think they're operating gingerly.
it is early, but again, one of the key actions, and as the conversion doctor, I'm big on whatever action they want me to take as a voter or as a visitor to their website. And one of the key actions that all of them keep asking for is to contribute. I mean, on Hillary's page, that's the biggest, clearest call to action is right there to contribute to a campaign. But personally, before I contribute to candidate's campaign, I really want to know what their stand is on some of these issues that are critically important to me. And so yeah, I'm just not yet seeing anybody doing that as effectively as they can.
Well, it's almost like making an investment, wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Particularly as a business owner, because if I do contribute to a candidate, I hopefully they are going to be making the business climate better for myself and other small business owners, and so that investment in that candidate, I'm expecting some sort of return, not favors from the candidate, of course, but some sort of business return on my investment with an increase in economic activity. So
Yeah. On Hillary's page, if you click on the issues again,
you bet.
and I think just click on that button. Because I went down there earlier, and it says strengthening the middle class, and it talks about, keep going down if you would.
You bet.
Uh, it says, I think I went in there, and somewhere it said that she would do um, corporate profits are up. Where did it say that? I went there before we got on this call. Um, it said something that as president, Hillary will make healthcare affordable and accessible to every American, reduce the cost of energy and make us energy independent, expand access to affordable, high-quality child care, make college more affordable, protect families from predatory lenders, and help them avoid foreclosures. I mean, increase the minimum wage. I mean, I think we just had an increase in that.
Yeah, we did.
As a small business owner, obviously that would impact us.
Well, and even as employees of small businesses, I don't want to make this overly political, but as a small business owner myself, if there is an increase in minimum wage, sometimes that makes me reduce the number of hours I'm able to give my staff, or actually cut jobs. So that cuts both ways.
Yeah, especially in the transcription space, we do a lot of transcription, and that's pretty much it's a low wage activity.
Exactly. Well,
So
she does address some of these issues. I did want to take a look at fulfilling promises to veterans here, just to. Okay. Now she is making a good use of video there. Won't have time to play that video, but let's see. ensuring that those who have sacrificed receive help, um, fully funding veterans' health care, reducing red tape, increasing pay and benefits for troops and their families. Sounds like a Republican on a few of these issues, but
yeah, well, that's a good thing. I mean, increasing pay and benefits for
ex
troops. That's I think that's well deserved.
exactly. And I don't know of any major candidate, like I said, she sounds almost like a Republican on that one, because I don't know any major candidate who objects to that, at least publicly. So,
Well, you know,
um,
on small businesses, I don't think any candidate would object to supporting small businesses, but I haven't seen anyone. I mean, there's only 25 million of us out here, so I haven't seen anybody talk about it.
well, they don't object to it, and they may even give a little bit of lip service to it, but it's really the actions that they take and the actions that they spell out that they intend to take on their websites that I'm looking for, and so far we haven't seen that. But it is good she does address veterans issues here. Do you have any last comments or thoughts on Hillary's site before we move on to Mitt Romney?
You know, just on the women's section, you know, according to Lloyd Chapman, who is the president and CEO of the American Small Business League, he said that when Bill Clinton left office, he passed legislation in Congress that was only a 5% contracting goal for women-owned firms.
Really?
You know, and that hasn't happened in the Bush administration. So I don't see on this website where Hillary has talked about, you know, fulfilling that legacy that Clinton actually passed legislation
Hmm.
for. So I mean, 5% is not a lot.
No, no,
You
that's
know,
not.
considering the fact that women are 50% of the population or more.
Exactly.
And by the way, most of them are. There's more entrepreneurs, women, than there are men.
Yep, I am aware of that. She does have a championing for women page, but I don't see any addressing of women's business issues here. So some about health care and maternity, but that's an excellent point.
Okay, so do
All
you want
right.
to? Where are we going next?
Let's move on to Mitt Romney here. And actually, I'm encouraged by this one because, you know, I've researched the candidates quite a bit myself, and I'm particularly interested in Mitt's website because he does come from a more of a business background before he became governor, and so hopefully he's going to address these small business issues a little bit better than some of the others. But
Okay, well,
let's
we'll take a quick look.
take a look here. Not seeing anything on the home page yet.
I know that I did see. He does have a store though. A couple of these guys have stores.
Yeah, to buy campaign gear and
Yeah, I guess if you wanted a sweatshirt, I know that Rudy's got a hoodie. So
we're a Rudy
Mitt
hoodie, huh?
doesn't have the hoodie.
Oh, he needs to get a hoodie here. All right. Well, I'm not. Yeah, he's got his store right there. Contribute, invite friends, join the team. So let's go ahead and look at his issues page. Now he does have a drop down as well. Talks about the Romney agenda, defeating jihadists, competing with Asia. Now that does have some implications for small businesses, definitely.
That looks interesting.
Taxes and spending, which obviously impacts small business. Immigration, energy. Culture and values, technology, which particularly for us in the online arena, definitely has some impact there, and healthcare and education. But again, no default category for veterans, seniors, or small businesses. So let's actually go to his main issues page and see if he addresses any additional issues. Um, nope, just the ones on the drop down. Let's actually see what he says on the overall Romney agenda. Family, global challenges, American prosperity. Now, apply free market principles to healthcare. Now, there's some small business related issues there. Tax savings, tax-free for middle-income Americans. Again, you know, a greater percentage of Americans saving does indicate a greater percentage of Americans with capital to invest in their own businesses. So he addresses a couple things there.
Yeah, I saw a interview that he did with Jay Leno, and you know, one thing that you pointed out earlier, Eric, it was the fact that Mitt was in a small business and then he was in a larger business, and you know, the interesting thing about that interview with Leno was the fact that he's worked in the private sector, the public sector, and the volunteer sector.
E-
And the I do know that he comes with a lot of capabilities for solving problems.
Well, exactly, and then that's one issue, with these other major candidates that we're looking at, is most of them have been in government most or all of their lives, at least for the last 10 or 20 years, and so that was something that was attractive to me about Mitt's stand, particularly on business issues, that a little more relatable for me as a small business person. But now the competing with Asia section here. Talks briefly about how aggressively China and the rest of Asia are moving economically and technologically. Um,
The line where it says we have to keep our markets open or we go the way of Russia and the Soviet Union,
yep.
which is a collapse. I'm not so sure that that's uh, you know it, I don't know where the big push is right now to close the markets. Um,
Yeah.
I just that in my own personal experience. I mean, Eric, we're doing a lot of work right now in India on the development of our website, mysuccessgateway.com, and we haven't had any problems.
Well, he may be addressing his up here. He talks about making sure that trade laws are fair and balanced. I'm not sure if he's talking about U.S. laws or putting pressure on foreign countries to make sure that their markets are open or more open for American goods and services. Which
I
I hope
I bet
that's
that's probably it.
I hope that's the angle he's taking there because, I do a lot of business with individuals in Japan, and it's incredibly difficult in a lot of cases for Americans to get their products or even services to penetrate those Japanese markets. And so there are a lot of Asian countries whose laws are very protective, and that contributes to the overall trade imbalance we have with some of those countries. So I think that's the angle he's taking there. Um, but
I think you're probably right.
but just like we're expressing right now, it's not clear on the website, or at least not as clear as I'd like to see it. I would like to see that issue spelled out in a little bit more detail on the website to help me as a voter and business owner make a more educated decision on that. So,
Right.
um,
Can you go up to that Five Brothers section?
yeah, that was one that was kind of interesting to me earlier.
I wasn't sure what those are. Those his sons or?
Well, I'm not sure if are his sons or his actual brothers here. Let me see.
They look a little younger than he
They
did.
have a campaign blog here for his 5 brothers.
Oh, look at this. They've got RSS feeds.
Each brother has an RSS feed. Now that is a very good use of technology. Not many of the candidates are capitalizing on the power of RSS feeds to keep voters, up to date with the latest news, latest happenings within their campaigns, and so this is definitely something I like to see there.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, you'd like to see that in an RSS feed with like let's say all the solutions or all the issues that they've talked about on a daily basis.
Exactly. Particularly as the campaigns mature, hopefully they are going to be expanding on their stands on the individual issues, adding new sub-issues to these. And yeah, an RSS feed on the individual issues that, will update automatically for me anytime they expand their stand or, alter their stand slightly or add a new issue. That would be, as a voter, tremendously valuable. It's something I'd really like to see from all of their websites, and I really don't see very many of them utilizing that effectively.
And it's not expensive either.
No, no, not at all. Now, are there any other issues here on Romney's site that you wanted to take a peek at? I
Well,
know.
no, I just he also who was it who talked about capping the non defense discretional spending across the board. I know that he talked about that in one of his videos. I saw one of his videos, and he talked about that as well. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about that in this election about cutting, 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 and that's fine and that's good. And but what I'm concerned about is growing, growing, growing. Sending some revenue up the other way through some grassroots efforts in entrepreneurship entrepreneurship and small business.
Exactly. And I mean, as a fellow business owner, I think you can relate to this. When we're trying to improve the profitabilities of our business, I mean, there's just so much improvement you can get from the cutting side. Usually, you've got to grow your revenues and grow your business in order to, see those kind of improvements that you want. So the cutting side is limited. Don't get me wrong. I definitely want to see some. I mean, you and I both know there's a tremendous amount of government waste. However, growing the overall size of the economy through empowering those small businesses that are really the engine of that economy. That's really what I want to see these candidates addressing.
Right, and spreading the wealth too, as far as the large contracts are concerned, because what's happening is the Fortune 5, the number one small business contractor that won small business contracts last year was L3, according to Eagle Eye Inc., the publishers that that follow the government contracts. So that's kind of that's not a way to spread the wealth out and grow more trees, so to speak, so that we can have a strong forest.
Well, exactly. And I think you even emailed me a statistic there that out of the 140,000 small business companies that have won small business government contracts, which totals about $82 billion, that doesn't equal what the four biggest government contractors have won in its entirety over the last year. So 140,000 small businesses, their government contracts don't add up to just what the top four have won. So that was an astounding statistic that you sent me.
That's yeah, and that's absolutely amazing. And that's the statistic I got from Paul Murphy over at Eagle Eye Publishing.
Excellent. All right. Well, unless you have any last-minute comments here on
No,
Romney.
I just didn't understand what the Five Brothers thing was. I don't know who those people are, and I guess it'd be nice to have an explanation on, right at the top there, having a little, tagline or a title page that says.
Yeah, either the Five Brothers are his sons or his own brothers. But yeah, he'd right here up at the top where it talks about Five Brothers. He really should let us know a little bit about who these five brothers are. So, but it is interesting that they do all have their own RSS feeds, though. I'll have to subscribe to a
You know
couple of
what?
those.
They're all named Romney,
Yeah.
so they're all related.
Yep, you betcha. All right.
So who next?
Well, let's move on to John Edwards here.
John Edwards. Okay.
It's got a little video here on the front. End the war, ending poverty, speaking on Iraq. A little bit from his blog. Now there is an RSS feed down here for his news, it appears.
Yeah, Flickr, MySpace, YouTube.
Yep, a lot of the candidates this year are really making good use of some of the Web 2.0 social networking kind of opportunities online.
So what do you think of that? Do you think the people that are going there to MySpace are going to be really voting for?
Well, it's interesting you do mention MySpace because I do a tremendous amount of online testing and tracking. And while the MySpace audience, that demographic is starting to trend a little bit older, it is still overwhelmingly populated with just young kids, some of them in high school who can't even vote yet. With their own personal space, sharing music and whatnot. So I'm not sure that that's his target audience there. I don't think the MySpace group is going to come out in mass to vote, but it is interesting seeing the candidates play around with that audience a little bit.
Right. So how old do you have to be to vote today? Is it 21 or is it
18,
18?
yeah, it's
18,
still
okay.
18, so which was very important to me when I was in the Air Force. I went into the Air Force at 18, so by golly, if I'm going to put my life on the line for my country, I sure better be able to vote on who my commander-in-chief is. So.
Right. Now, when I first contacted John Edwards'
Yeah.
office, I called it. I called his office, and then his phone was broken. I'm sure it's fixed by now. But I emailed the office as a quote small media, and he, sent me back something asking me for my vote and asking me for money. So
Yeah.
unable to distinguish, Eric.
Well, in
The difference between media and voter.
See, now that is a critical issue because I've experimented with that as well leading up to this webinar. I didn't get a chance to email all the candidates asking for information on their stand on issues. But as a blog publisher myself, as basically a small media outlet myself, I had, approached them as press. And again, it was all just cut and paste, canned answers, a real brief, canned statement on the issues, and again, an ask to send them money. So they, even as approaching them as media, they are not responding to voter inquiries or media inquiries nearly as efficiently as they should. And so that's an excellent observation. Now
So,
let's
okay, go ahead.
take a look at his stand on the issues, what issues he addresses here. Okay, restoring America's moral leadership, affordable quality health care, eliminating poverty, strengthening the middle class, and fight against global warming.
Okay, he's got
So,
5 issues there.
yeah. Well,
So, okay, back to our point earlier that, okay, here's a candidate that's got 5 issues. Some have maybe a dozen or 8 or 10. So there's no, I guess, ISO 9000, formula for bucketing this information.
exactly. And I would think, as a candidate, if I were a candidate, just putting myself in their shoes, or as their campaign manager, or even manager of their website, if one of the other candidates put up a stand on a particular issue, I would think it's very important for you to issue at least some sort of response, or establish your stand on that issue right there on your website. And we're not seeing any of them that are doing that. And I
So
think it's,
who do you think is going to be the first one out putting a category up for small business?
well, it probably depends on how many of them actually have somebody in their campaign watching this webinar. I'll tell you that. Um, but hopefully it would be Romney, just because of his background. I mean, he would be the natural one, I think, to really stand up as the small business candidate. I think
Right.
that would
Well,
be
and
good
I know that John
positioning.
Edwards, though, he was on the Small Business Committee in the Senate when he was there.
Yes, he was.
So
So, you
maybe
know,
let's poke around and see if we can find something about small business in his
all right.
website.
Well, eliminating poverty and strengthening the middle class. Now, this is interesting. Strengthening the middle class, eliminating poverty, he has a link to read more information. So he has a more detailed page on eliminating poverty. But strengthening America's middle class, all he provides is this one little paragraph. I find that kind of telling there a little bit.
Okay.
But strengthening Americans' middle class, let's see what he talks about business here. Because again, tax burden borne by middle class, helping families save for the future, a little bit on child care and education, but again, how the middle class gets their income to be middle class is from the small business owners. That's what creates the middle class, and so.
You mean the 98% of the companies that are out there in the United States?
Exactly, and like I said, 51% of all workers in the middle class are employed by small businesses. So, um, you know, doesn't address a business issue at all there. How about eliminating poverty? Is he taking a government can do it approach, or you know, increasing jobs and whatnot? Rewarding work, okay, that's encouraging. Creating a working society. Um, Raising the minimum wage to at least 750. Ouch. Now, I'll be honest with you, as a small business owner, I would have to eliminate several jobs in positions within my businesses and some of my subcontractors if it did get jumped to 750. There, um, that
Well,
that
or you look overseas or look someplace else,
well,
possibly.
exactly, and see that's something that's kind of a double-edged sword I've seen here, particularly for some of the candidates on the left, is they talk about raising minimum wage, but then they blast outsourcing overseas. Well, one in a lot of cases creates the other, and so
Supply and demand.
well, exactly. It shows a real basic misunderstanding of economics and how the economy works. Creating opportunity in rural Americans. 90% of the poorest counties are rural. Strengthening labor laws. Unionized workers there, which you know can argue one way or another on whether that's good for small business. Affordable housing, helping families save, strengthening education. Now, I am definitely, from a business standpoint, all for stronger education because obviously, that gives you a higher quality of employees with more marketable skills. So there is a tie there with education to small
Absolutely.
businesses.
Yep.
Responsible families, cutting taxes for low-income workers, reducing marriage penalty, teen pregnancy. Um, well,
I went, see if you can go back up again. I went to his site somewhere. He had a lot of RSS feeds, and I thought he did a very good job at pushing out, maybe the newsroom or
probably that is the one area where I have
RSS
seen
Central.
RSS Central. There we go. Yeah, a lot of the candidates' newsrooms or blogs is one area I am seeing pretty good use of RSS, but I really think I agree with you 100% that they need RSS feeds on the issues themselves and as they expand their positions on the issues. But
Well, that way the information is coming from one central point and being disseminated throughout the web.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and that
And
way the media can pick up on it and they can get accurate information instead of information that might be clouded by a third party.
well, and like you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that website earlier that shows some of the candidates' stands on various issues. Well, if that website could automatically update that content based on an RSS feed from the issues section of the candidate's website, the candidates could then keep all of that information as fresh and current and up to date, respond to other candidates' changes on stances very quickly. So having a central location there as a repository for the candidate stands on issues, if the candidates would issue RSS feeds on their issues, could make that a very simple process.
Yeah. Can you go down to the quick post down there?
The quick post,
Yeah,
is that down
fourth
towards the
one from the bottom.
bottom or on the side here?
On the
Quick
left there.
posts, okay.
Left. Down there,
It's
RSS
from
feed.
his
Right
blog
above the
there.
audio blog and the, yeah, there you go.
Yep, these are just, look like the short posts from his blog.
Okay.
Yeah, he has different RSS feeds for each category in his blog, it looks like there. And then for press releases, headlines, speeches, newsletters, podcasts.
Yeah, I
So,
did see that he's doing a Saturday morning podcast, and I thought that was very good. I like that idea a lot.
yeah. Well, and the video blogging, I've noticed a lot of candidates are making much better use of video in the '08 election cycle as they did in the '04 election cycle. The '04 election cycle was the first one where we really saw a widespread implementation of online video, but definitely this election cycle we're seeing a much better usage of video on their websites, and so
Well, yeah, it's almost like they've got their own channel now, johnedwards.com, that type of thing, johnmccain.com, where they can just publish whatever information they want, whether it be video or whether it be text or anything else.
Exactly. And I mean, and that really is good for the voters because the information is coming directly from the candidates themselves, not with any slant for one particular media outlet or the other. So, I mean, you're getting the raw information directly from the candidate, not how some of the media outlets package it. So, I really think, for at least from a voter standpoint, I see something as much more credible if it's coming right off of the candidate's website. So.
Right. Now, have you seen anything in here about Social Security at all, or
I have
on
not, and it's
on any of these candidate sites? Because
not on a
that's
single candidate site. No.
that's something that's really going to have to change because if it's going to be viable, what's going to have to happen there is they're going to have to change the age of retirement probably to 70 years old.
Well, and that's probably why they aren't putting anything about it on their blogs, is because that's just such an unpopular stand to take, unfortunately. But yeah, there's definitely going to have to be some massive changes done to that system, and none of the candidates so far have even mentioned. I haven't even seen the word Social Security on any of the websites. So
Or seniors for that
or
matter.
seniors, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, again, with the baby boom generation aging and entering that senior bracket, it's very surprising to me. I mean, as a business owner, I definitely go out of my way to target that particular demographic and market because they have discretionary income, and as a candidate, I would think that they have a higher propensity to actually go out and vote. So I'm really surprised that none of these candidates are addressing seniors' issues more.
Yeah, because I know that back in the 50s there were about 8 people working for every retired person, and I would bet that that number is probably a little bit different today.
Yeah, I actually saw a statistic. I don't know which year it is, but here not too long from now, it's going to be 2 to 1, two workers in the workforce for every one person drawing from Social Security. So
Yeah.
it's a critical issue. Now, did you have any last minute comments on John
No, I
Edwards?
think that we should probably go on to the next one. I mean,
All right, another John here, John McCain. So his website, let's look and
I
see.
have had communication. I did contact his camp, and they did get back to me, and they did, delineate that there was an opportunity for the possibility of doing an interview with John. And
Okay,
in preparing for this webinar, I did find out that he has a section in there where the media can actually reach out to him, which I thought was very interesting.
really?
So he was accessible by the media. I mean, he was making it front and center. So that I really liked.
That is surprising and definitely encouraging there. Um, don't see any thing on the home page here addressing some of those key issues we're looking for. So let's dive into the issues page. All right, government spending, taxes, and economic prosperity. Now, hopefully there under the economic prosperity area, he will be addressing some business-related issues. Again, making a nice use of video here. Human dignity and the sanctity of life, lobbying and ethics reform. That's definitely something he's been a champion of for a long time. Consequences of failure in Iraq. Definitely taking kind of the opposite stand of Hillary there, which is good. I do like to see candidates, actually stand up and either say they're for something or against something, and
Well,
just
that's what
make it
leadership is
very
all
clear.
about.
Well, exactly. But it
I
seems
mean,
like so many candidates are afraid to actually do that, to take a stand on that issue. So,
in some cases though, even if you do take a stand on an issue, and it doesn't work out, guess what? Things do change. So America is a very forgiving. I mean, and if you're not going to change in this world today, you're not growing. So I think that it's okay to admit that, okay, hey, I made the wrong vote, I made a mistake. You know what? I'm accountable for it, and let's move on.
exactly, because that is the other side of leadership, right? What you said there is accountability. In the end, the buck stops in the Oval Office, and so definitely want a president or a candidate with that backbone that when something does go wrong, they're going to say, "Hey, I screwed up. It's my fault, and here's my plan to fix it." So. Now this one is very encouraging here. Again, I would expect it from McCain with his military background. Commitment to American service members, past and present. So, definitely making a stand there on veterans issues, which I definitely like. National security, um, nation's rich national heritage, and protecting Second Amendment rights.
Nothing there on
Um,
seniors
Nothing there directly on seniors.
or small business.
Or small business. The economic prosperity area may hopefully have something here. Again, the ending pork barrel spending. I think everybody has mentioned some sort of cutting there. Increasing transparency, um, making tough choices, leadership, lower taxes, opening markets and opportunity. Now here, kind of touching on
Sure
what
is
Romney
frustrating.
addressed. Okay, just basically the global tide of isolationism threatening our entrepreneurs. So he's definitely talking about opening new markets to U.S. goods and services. So I do like to see that. Um, okay, so that definitely has some implications to small businesses, and honestly, he actually spells it out here, I think, a little bit better than Romney did on Romney's website. I think it's the same message, but I do think it's being communicated here a little more clearly that he's talking about opening up foreign markets to U.S. goods, particularly for entrepreneurs and small manufacturers and innovators. So,
Yep.
all right. Now, are there any other spots on John McCain's site here you wanted to take a peek at?
Go to the news and media.
All right.
What? See what he's got there. You know, 'cause the one thing that he had here was,
For the media, is that the spot that you were talking about earlier?
yeah, I think that he's got. I think it. I'm pretty sure it was him. He's got a calendar where you can find out where he's going next,
Okay.
and I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's got to join the media list there. Media advisories, perhaps.
So there's.
Okay, this is where he's been and not necessarily where he's going.
Maybe it's in the events section.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Okay, yep, right here, his where he'll be
Look at that.
on
I
the
think that's
calendar.
excellent.
So you can go
That
out
is very good.
to May 24th. He's going to be doing fundraising luncheon in D.C. and a fundraising breakfast. So,
Now, what would be interesting there, Eric, is if a candidate could say, okay, well, you're located in, well, I'm located in Boston, Massachusetts. So when the candidate comes to Boston or within a 100-mile radius, I would like to be updated via email.
yeah,
So that
that
way I can stop over and either support him or see him or hear what he has to say firsthand.
exactly. And I know that some of the candidates in 2004 did that. When you sign up with your email address and zip code, I think McCain may be doing that. It'll detect by your zip code if he has an event in your area and send you a
Okay.
special email broadcast doing that. But you are right. Not all of the candidates do that. A lot of them just ask for the email address. But that's where I'm glad to see McCain actually asking for zip code there. So I'm pretty sure that's what his campaign is doing with that.
Right. Well,
Um,
my biggest beef with I guess all the candidates' websites is the fact that they don't address any person that's coming in. They're just a warm body as far as they're concerned. Okay,
yeah,
warm body comes in. They don't categorize them as or ask them, hey, are you a student? Are you a middle class working person? I don't know the right labels. We'd have to sit down and figure that out. Are you a veteran? Are you a senior? Are you a uh, an energy worker or whatever, um, that sort of thing. I think that would be helpful and really address the site from a dynamic level.
exactly. And I think actually I remember seeing something like that. I'm going to jump back to Romney's here for just a second. I remember seeing something similar. Um, let me see here. I think it was in Romney's section where you can actually get involved with his campaign. Um, yeah, join Team Mitt. Perhaps that's where I stumbled across that. Yeah, he asks what coalitions would you like to join, and he does have a seniors coalition, I'm almost
Oh, small
positive
business
small
owners.
business owners coalition and a veterans coalition. So,
Huh?
so he does have all three that we're looking for there. But you do have to go to the Join Team Mitt page, where if you wanted to get involved in a grassroots level, you could join a specific coalition addressing some of those issues that you're interested in. That's something I really liked from his website, and a couple other candidates have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really, like you're saying, that's the only area of any of their websites where I really found where you could subscribe to information on a particular topic you're interested in. Like we said, going back to RSS feeds, I think it would be great for each one of these coalitions, not just being able to sign up for that information, as a volunteer for the campaign, but as a voter who's interested and passionate about some of these particular issues, to be able to sign up either for email updates on the candidate's stand or recent talks about those issues, or even better, an RSS feed for each one of those issues. I definitely think would be very valuable.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump to the last one here, unless you had any last minute comments on McCain.
Um, no, I don't think so.
All right, let's take a look at Obama. And let's see.
I think his site was very action oriented. I thought
Yeah, there are quite
look
a
for
few
change.
calls to action, calls for change.
Donate, get involved.
Yep.
Oh, you can get your mybarackobama.com. Looks like he's got his own social networking site there.
All right, and he does have the Obama store, so you can buy official Obama gear there. Um, let's take a look at his stand on the issues. Now, he does list quite a few issues here, so. Um,
And I thought that he did a pretty good job of stating his positions and solutions.
all right. Does have a kind of a brief statement up here, which I like. I haven't seen this on a lot of the candidates' websites where they just summarize their stand on the issues. I think
Good.
Mitt Romney had that, but you actually had to click an additional link to get there. I really would like to see all of them have just a summary of their stand on the issues up at the top of their issues page. Very few of them actually had that. The issues he addresses, strengthening America overseas, ending the war, creating healthcare system that works, energy and the environment, improving schools, protecting homeland, which hopefully would have a little bit of an addressing of veterans issues in there, immigration and the border, which does have some crossover impact on small businesses, protecting the right to vote, honoring our veterans. Okay, so he does, one of the few that actually does make a specific stand for veterans. I definitely like that. Cleaning up culture of corruption, strengthening families, and reconciling faith and politics. So nothing specifically on seniors or small businesses that I can see here, but he does at least address veterans issues. It's actually, this is a great thing. I've actually tested this from a conversion standpoint on business websites, and having a testimonial there like that does help. So that's good to see. He actually using a testimonial from the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans. Um,
Yeah, that is very good. I don't think we've seen anybody else use testimonials.
I have not. We didn't dig deep enough into all of them to see that, but he makes this front and center, and again on the issues page, which that's an excellent usage. Again, um, just from a sales psychology, because really that's all these candidates are. They're salesmen. They need to be out there selling the public on why they need to vote for these individuals. And from a sales standpoint, anytime you use testimonials or third-party endorsements, it just enhances your own credibility, and again, I've tested that on websites, and it improves the actual conversion rate of getting someone to take whatever action you want them to take on your website. So I haven't really seen anyone using that. A way to even take it to the next level, if Obama wanted to, was to use a video testimonial. I've done a lot of online testing with that as well. That just adds a whole nother level of credibility, and particularly in this digital wired age, any multimedia that you can use definitely helps there. That's why I did like on Hillary's to see for most of her issues, she does have a brief video talking about that issue as well. It just gives a kind of a multi-sensory um, way for people to consume that content on our website. So.
Well, what would be really nice is to, and I'm not seeing any of this at all. It'd be nice to have a downloadable PDF file that I could print and take on the train with me to go to work if I was working in the city, and just get a fair idea of what the issues are on a particular subject.
That would be fantastic, definitely. Um, Homeless vets he talks about, disability benefits, wounded vets, post-traumatic stress and brain injuries, and easing the transitions of veterans into society. So it's good. He definitely does address veterans issues with its own category, which I would like to see all of them do. On the Get Involved page, doesn't break that down by particular interest area to join specific coalitions, which definitely missing an opportunity there. And let's take a peek at the newsroom here, see if any of his news elements addresses any of those three key areas we're looking for as well. Cars more fuel efficient, Obama's muffled, crowd pleaser, debates. No, no. Actually, his news section is quite a bit smaller than some of the other candidates. So And I don't see, now you went through this website extensively earlier. Did you see any opportunity to subscribe to RSS feeds or
No,
updates?
no, I did not.
Okay,
I
so
did see one spot in there that was very good, I thought, and that was he had a spot in there that said something about cleaning up Washington's culture of corruption.
yes, yes, that was on his
And you
issues
know what? I
page.
think he's the only guy that that's phrased it exactly that way. You know, really saying that the culture is corrupted.
Yeah, yeah. McCain addressed that slightly with his campaign finance reform, but from a wording standpoint, campaign reform doesn't nearly have the emotional impact that culture of corruption does. So it's amazing what, I'm a copywriter as well, and it's just amazing what, words can do, or the choices of words that you use, the impact they can have on people. And so, um,
Well, so he's part of Washington then. So I guess you know.
yeah, well, I think he's positioning himself as coming from the outside, but
Uh huh.
I think overall the opinion of him is he's one of them. So that's
Now here's something that I found that was very interesting. You see the New Hampshire up there, the New
yes.
Hampshire headquarters. The Did you know that there are? I hope I get these numbers right, and the Small Business Administration can back me up on this. That there are about 30 something thousand small businesses in New Hampshire, employing approximately 300 and I don't know 305,000 people. And in the 2004 election, there were a grand total of 600,000 people in the popular vote,
Wow.
meaning meaning that half of those people could be small business owners that voted in New Hampshire. So, I mean, to give you an idea of the impact, that if these candidates reached out to small business owners and helped make a difference, look at healthcare. I mean, a lot of people in small businesses. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, healthcare can run, the premiums can run at least $1,000 a month, and then a lot of them have programs where you got to pay a $5,000 or an $8,000 deductible.
Hmm.
The next thing you know, you're looking at, it's almost $20,000 before you're biting the bullet on a serious medical issue, and that's what hurts a lot of businesses.
Exactly.
And that was actually, if you go to the New York Times in the small business section, I think today they actually talk just about that. And
Well,
and just to reiterate again, the New York Times just came out with a brand new website called New York Times Small Business. So they're definitely focused on small businesses as well. So there's a big, I guess that's a validity. I guess that validates the small business market, so to speak.
well, certainly, and from a business owner's standpoint, I mean, this definitely directly impacts the employees, and a couple of the candidates had addressed eliminating poverty. Well, as a business owner, when healthcare premiums are that high, it really makes me think twice about taking an employee from part-time to full-time if I'm going to have to start adding those benefits on. And so it keeps a certain percentage of the population in part-time employment or underemployment because of that. And so that's an excellent, excellent point.
You know, I would like to see a candidate take a stand, make a promise, and deliver on that promise. And
Wouldn't we all?
and let's say something as small as, because they would have being the chief executive of the country, they would have the ability to execute, let's say, small business healthcare. I mean, why not have small businesses become, uh, I guess together so that they could get group coverage?
Exactly. And a lot of the Republican candidates have given lip service to that over the years. I think even Reagan talked about that, back in the 80s, but it just has not come to pass. And I tell you what, if any candidate, as a small business owner, you want my vote, any candidate that stands up and actually makes a commitment, not says, oh, this would be a good idea, but makes a commitment to really pushing that through, where small businesses can pool together to purchase group coverage, because a lot of people don't understand, if you have pre-existing conditions as a small business owner, or a family member does, you can't get just regular coverage. You have to be in a group policy. And yeah, any candidate that came forward and actually said that they were going to make that happen, they would have my vote, Republican or Democrat.
You know what?
I
I think
would.
they would have my vote too.
Oh, absolutely. That's, small business owners, that is a very, very passionate subject. It's not the socialization and governmentalization, if that's a word, of the healthcare system, which,
It's more of the
uh,
optimization.
exactly, exactly. And so, just allowing small businesses to pool together to purchase group coverage, that is something I would be very passionate about. I would support any candidate who came out for that. So.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any closing thoughts on any of these candidates that we've looked at here?
Well, I think Eric, I think our timing is good. I think it's still early in the process. I think that there's still lots of room for improvement, and I do know that, including my website, it's always a work in progress. So it's a living, breathing thing, and they are always changing.
Well, you
Uh,
bet. And actually, while I have you here, Jim, why don't we get a commitment from you that why don't we revisit this in a few months and see how the candidates' websites have evolved? I think that would be very interesting to look at. See, number one, if we do get some of the campaigns to actually take a look at this webinar and adopt some of our suggestions, we'll see which ones are evolving in adopting some of these suggestions. Would you be interested in that, Jim?
yeah, I think how does Labor Day, in and around either the week before or the week after, we could probably set up a time to do that.
Sounds perfect. Well, I don't really have any last minute thoughts here. I mean, we've covered quite a bit. Now, for myself, anyone who would like to get a little bit more information about me or my services can go to my website, conversiondoctor.com. I have my blog there, and I'll actually be posting this video on that blog there. We'll distribute it to a couple other video outlets as well. And Jim, why don't you give them some closing thoughts and a way to contact you as well?
Well, I think at the end of the day, that there's lots of different groups out there. What I'd like to see is a consolidation of information or standardization of information from the candidates, so that it's not as much of a mishmash. And obviously, I'm passionate about small business, and I'm the president and CEO of MySuccessGateway.com, and we provide small businesses and entrepreneurs instant access to tools for success. So the one thing, people that are looking for support, either individuals or small businesses, the one factor, the fastest way to get success is to go out and find a mentor, and we've got dozens and dozens of mentors on there, including you, Eric,
Yep.
that provide great information. So I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you, Jim, and I look forward to meeting with you again around Labor Day to see how these candidates have responded to what we've done here today.
Okay, thanks so much, Eric.
Thank you.